Today we're going to be taking a look at the most critical cards to have with the standard format rotation upcoming. These are cards that I would consider buying before rotation and the price increases. We are all going to be doing a lot of searching to try and find the new meta relevant decks. These are the most important cards to have to build those decks. Starting with our draw support. Draw support is so important to every single deck. We want to be able to find the cards that we want to be able to take prize cards from our opponent. The main draw support cards that you're going to want to have going into this standard format rotation, we want to have Judge, which allows you to disrupt your opponent as well, shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 4 cards. Pretty good draw support, more for disruption. You want to have Professor's Research staple in the standard format for as long as I can remember. We want to have Iono. Iono is a very, very powerful card, also a good draw supporter whenever you haven't taken a ton of prizes. Some of the Pokemon that we want to have for our decks in the standard format rotation, we want to have Squawkabilly EX with its ability Squawk and Seize. Discard your hand on your first turn, draw 6 cards. Super powerful. Mew EX is going to be more important with a lot of the cards that are rotating, such as Rotom. Its ability Restart allows you to draw until you have 3 cards in your hand. Is also a free pivot option and has genome hacking, which is going to be very important in some decks to deal with things such as Cornerstone Ogerpon because we're losing Canceling Cologne. Another card we're going to be using a lot of in the upcoming format, the Dunsparce. The Dunsparce with the runaway draw. Once during your turn, draw 3 cards, and you shuffle it back into your deck. I think it's an underutilized card right now, but in the upcoming format, we're going to be using it so much more. Another card, Dracloak. Dreepy, Dracloak, Dragapult. Dragapult could easily become the most powerful deck in the upcoming format, but Dracloak as a draw support, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck, keep one, put the other one on the bottom of your deck. Super, super strong. This could actually replace like Refinement Curlia inside of Gardevoir. Gardevoir could go like a rare candy route with Dracloak as like a draw engine. Crazier things have happened for sure. Quaquaval with up tempo allows you to have up to 5 cards in your hand, similar to Bibarel. We are losing Bibarel, so this is kind of its replacement. Not as good, not even close, but it is a card you want to consider having while it's still bulk price, just so you don't have to pay more later for it if it does become meta relevant. The next set of cards we're going to want for the standard format rotation, Pokemon Search. We're losing a lot of Pokemon Search, but we will be keeping cards like Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, Great Ball, and Buddy Buddy Poffin. We're also keeping Terra Orb, which is very important in the upcoming format. We are losing the V Pokemon. We will be having more Terra style Pokemon. So as the format grows with more of the Scarlet and Violet sets, Terra Orb will become more and more important. We're also keeping Artisan, very good stadium for basic Pokemon search. We have Master Ball, Techno Radar, Grand Tree, and Dusk Ball, all very, very important cards. I would make sure we have all of these cards for our decks in the upcoming standard format. They're going to be very important for the duration of the format. You may not always need them. It's better just to go ahead and have them instead of waiting until they're $5, $6 a card, and then you're regretting not buying them sooner. A big card to have, Precious Trolley. Precious Trolley is going to be so huge in so many decks with the release of Badoo. That's going to be blocking item cards. It's going to be really difficult to use Buddy Buddy, Poffin, Nest Ball, Ultra Ball, and those type of cards to find your Pokemon. So Precious Trolley, before they can get the Badoo going, is very, very powerful and going to be a very valuable card. There's a reason why Precious Trolley has gone from like a $1 card to already, $7, $8. And I think it's going to keep going even higher because it is such a powerful card. Go ahead and make sure you have those Pokemon search cards for your decks in the upcoming standard format. We're going to want gusting options in our decks in the upcoming format. We're going to want Boss's Orders, Counter Catcher, Prime Catcher. Make sure you have 4 copies of Counter Catcher, 4 copies of Boss's Orders, and your 1 copy of Prime Catcher. Most powerful cards that you could have in most decks. It can just win you the game. Those type of cards just win you games. So make sure you have those for your decks. Some consistency setup style cards that you really want to have. We want to have Arven. Arven is going to probably be the most played supporter card in the upcoming format. We want to have Energy Switch, Rare Candy. Pidgeot is going to be huge. And just so many decks are going to rely on Pidgeot to be able to search for what they need because of Badoo and Item Lock. Item Lock is going to be everywhere, and Pidgeot is kind of a way around that. You could search for your, Raging Bolt EX with your quick search instead of relying on an item card to search for it. Make sure you have a copy of Secret Box, another really good, consistent setup card. I think it only gets powerful as the meta kind of slows down and we have to rely more on evolving instead of all these big, basic turbo decks, Pokestop, Trekking Shoes, use, just go fast type decks. We're losing most of the cards that make those decks work. So it's good to just go ahead and have your consistency and setup cards like Secret Box, Arven, Colress's Tenacity, lets you find the stadium like Area Zero, and a special energy card. We are losing double turbo, but I have a feeling that we will be getting a replacement for it, like a double colorless energy in the future. So go ahead and have those Colress's Tenacity in your binder for the future decks that you could be making. Having switching options is always a good idea. Make sure you have copies of Switch. Make sure you have some copies of Jet Energy. Professor Turtle Scenario can remove liabilities from your bench in your active spot. And Kieran also allows you to be able to switch Pokemon, and it increases your damage, which will be very significant. With the meta slowing down, we're probably going to see more Dragapult. Just gonna be honest. I think we're gonna start seeing a lot more Dragapult with the item luck and Badoo coming. A lot of the recovery cards we're gonna want to keep. Make sure you have your energy retrieval, Pow Pad. Make sure you have your super rods. Night Stretcher, very, very important. Night Stretcher, super rod, Pow Pad, energy retrieval. You want to make sure you have all of those recovery cards to be able to build your decks. Experience Share could be a good card to have in decks like Dragapult to be able to utilize Phantom Dive. You do need 2 different energy types. Sometimes it's kind of hard to find your energies, especially if you're unable to use cards such as Earthen Vessel if you're item locked. Item lock, item lock, item lock. Got to prepare for item lock. It's coming. It's going to get all of us. Some disruption cards you want to make sure you have. Crushing Hammer. It's always just a good card to have in case you want to put it in a deck. Judge, like we talked about before. Iono's another good disruption card. Also a draw support for both of those two, but, you know, they're also very disruptive. Unfair Stamp could be more and more powerful as the format slows down. And we're honestly just kind of not playing turbo decks anymore. We're not going to be, you know, going as fast, and it's going to be really hard for a lot of decks to recover from an Unfair Stamp down to 2. Enhanced Hammer could be very important. Make sure you have at least 1 copy of that. Eerie, very, very powerful card. Allows you to look at your opponent's hand and discard 2 items. The reason why this card will be so impactful is because Badoo. Item lock, they're going to build up in their hand, and if you play Eerie, you can look at their hand and discard 2 of their item cards that they've been unable to play. And, you know, you could get rid of like Prime Catcher, Unfair Stamp. You could get rid of so many powerful cards. Make sure you have a couple copies of Handheld Fan. Handheld Fan is grossly undervalued in this format. I've won a few League Cups with Handheld Fan and a Great Tusk Mill. Just very powerful card, very versatile. It's a good card to have. Was only printed once, I do believe, so it's a good candidate to, you know, see a big spike if it becomes meta relevant. You want to make sure you have at least 1 copy of Xerosix Mechanicians with item lock. Keep talking about item lock, but it's going to be so impactful with Badoo. Xerosix can just demolish your opponent. They can't play the items out of their hand. You play Xerosix and you make them discard all of those item cards that have been building up in their hand. It's disgusting. It's going to be a very, very powerful card. Make sure you have at least 1 copy of that. I would go ahead and get a full play set while they're still super cheap. Some tool cards that we want to keep an eye on. We want to keep an eye on Defiance Band, Vitality Band, Brave Charm. Those cards can really swing matches in your favor, and just they're good to have. Damage from Vitality and Defiance Band, and then the Bravery Charm to increase the HP of like your support Pokemon like Pheasantipity can be very important. If you board with the Tatsugiri, I would make sure you have, you know, 2 copies of each of those. Not a whole lot of other relevant tool cards. Maybe Vengeful Punch, Rigid Band, kind of keep an eye on those. I have copies of all of those, you know, in my bulk already, just in case I ever need them. Some just like archetype, you know, specific cards that are used for most archetypes that you want to keep. Grass archetype, you want to make sure you have Teal Mask Ogerpon. Bug Catching Set is a pretty big card. There's Fire. We're losing Magma Basin. Magma Basin was like the only fire card. Mela? I guess Mela. Water archetype, we still have Baxcalibur. Make sure you have your Baxcaliburs and your Frigies. Frigibax Baxcalibur could be relevant, even though Chimpow's not super powerful right now, and with item lock, it's probably going to be worse. There could be new water Pokemon that come out that do make Baxcalibur very important. Lightning, we want to make sure we have our electric generators, Magneton, Miraidon, you know, those staples in electric decks. Any electric deck that you're going to build will probably have 2, if not all 3 of those cards in it. With the Psychic archetype, we want to make sure we have Gardevoir. Make sure we have Tulip. Tulip is going to be very, very important because item lock. So if we're not able to use our super rods, we're not able to use, you know, any sort of like Night Stretcher to bring back our Psychic Pokemon, we could just lose. I mean, we could just 100% lose by not being able to play items if we don't have cards like Tulip. Another card we want to have, Psychic, we want to have Xatu. We're losing our Refinement Curlia. Xatu could be the replacement for that draw engine inside of Psychic decks. Make sure you have your Not-2s and your Xatus for your Psychic decks. Type, you want to make sure you have Pekarunt. Pekarunt, super, super powerful. Subjugating Chains, just absolutely disgusting. Janine's Secret Art, good card to have. For Metal Archetype, make sure you have Matang. Dialga V-Stars rotating could be powerful in Archaludon, future metal decks. Not really anything you want to keep for dragons, I don't think anyway. Colorless, Fan Rotom, Bouffalant, those are going to be very significant in the upcoming format, I do believe. Make sure you also have your Noctowls. Very, very powerful card. Going to be very important with item lock. Make sure you have those. We didn't really go over a lot of the like super strong cards. Most of you already have Pheasantipity. Most of you already have Teal Mask Ogerpon. Most of you already have Blood Moon or Saluna. Those type of cards that we already have, we didn't really discuss a whole lot. These are cards that I think are going to become more important with the standard format rotation that we're going to need for decks that we're going to be building in the future. Most of the powerful cards like Teal Mask Ogerpon, Pheasantipity just kind of speak for themselves, and the price of them already reflects that. So we don't really need to talk about those a whole lot. Just we've already got those cards. Make sure you keep them. Some honorable mentions. Cycling Road could be like a generic Radiant Greninja replacement. Energy Sticker, we could use those in Miraidon. We are losing a lot of stuff with Miraidon. Maybe Energy Sticker could help fix that. Rescue Board, Tatsugiri, you already talked about those. You want TM Evo and TM Devo. I think those are going to be more and more important as Stage 2 decks become more powerful as the format slows down. Crispin, super powerful card. Energy Acceleration. We didn't really talk a lot about Energy Acceleration, but Crispin, I think, is a super powerful card right now, and we just don't use it a whole lot, but I think it's going to be even more powerful in the upcoming standard format, and it's going to be very, very important to have. Cleffa could be a really good combatant against item lock. Bidoof, Cleffa could be kind of the battle there, which one of those you want to use. Make sure you have Cleffa, get Bidoof whenever it comes out. Rabsca, you got to have Rabsca until Manaphy is replaced. Unfortunately, it's a stage 1, but it's all we have to protect our bench. It does help you against Dragapult as well. Radiant Greninja was kind of the biggest bench sniping threat, but there are still other ones out there we have to respect, such as Hydreigon EX, which could become more powerful. Don't want to get demolished by Obsidian. Make sure you play Rabsca. It will help you protect your bench. Let me know what you guys think of the upcoming standard format. Are you guys excited to get rid of all these Regulation F cards? Let me know down in the comments. Make sure you check out this video right over here, and I'll see you in the next one.